Alrighty, everybody. It is currently, what is today? It's Sunday, April 27th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live. And today we're talking about a Hungarian curse called the Curse of Turan. And, I started writing this. I started writing the notes for this, and I quickly realized there was little to no substance here. Very, very little substance here. So this is going to be more of like a talking about like the history of Hungary, kind of. Because this curse, as we'll get to, they just blame it. They blame everything on the curse, right? Like this curse is basically like the Jews or or like what black people do, and they're like, it's all white people's fault, That's what this curse basically is. And, Jews are the white man's white man. We're like, it's all the Jews' fault. The Jews, they colonized Europe and they fucked us over. But, the Hungarians, they're either too stupid or like just too hardworking, like stoic type of people to be like that. To be like, someone came in here and beat us. Maybe it's like pride. Maybe it's a pride thing. They're too proud to be like, someone came in here and just like fucking destroyed us. They have to like blame it on like supernatural shit. They have to be like, it was the tree god. The tree god came out of the forest and he cursed us. Like that's what they have to do to like rationalize it. They're not like, we weren't fucking colonized, dude. No earthly power can stop the Hungarians. Everyone knows. Everyone knows the Hungarians are the most powerful people on earth. But they're obviously not, because they are a European country that's kind of named after like the Mongols, like the Huns, right? That's who they're named. That's like what it's named after. And they do share like 70% of their DNA with the Huns. So I think it was maybe a little more than just like a supernatural curse that fucked these guys over. I think they got like conquered by the most powerful one of the most powerful armies, definitely the most powerful army at the time. These fucking psychos on horseback came in and just killed every man and then raped every woman and then just piled up like babies' bodies and shit. They're like, it was a curse. It was a curse that did that. It wasn't the Mongols. No one can stop. Everyone knows fucking Hungary's the best, dude. Look at the history books. Hungary #1. I feel like it's one of those countries where people have like completely uncalled for like nationalism. It's they're like, Hungary will exist for another 1,000 years. No one. I don't know. I'm doing a Scottish accent. They're more like Russian. Hungary will exist for 1,000 more years. No one will come in. No. It very quickly turned to Scottish again. But they do kind of have that ethos where it's like, Scotland will exist for another 1,000 years. We'll never be under the crown of the English rule. And it's like, 500,000 people. What are you guys talking about? How could you have like nationalistic pride when there is no nation? It's one of those countries where it's like, we will fight for freedom, or like the Irish. The Irish are like, hardy-dardy-dar. We're going to fight for freedom against the British, and we don't give a good goddamn. We'll blow up 1,000 school buses, which is what they did. I might do an episode about the Troubles. I've been doing so many like war episodes, and this is just another war episode. I don't know. I've been really into war lately. I think the government propaganda is getting to me. They're gearing us up for a war with Iran, and I'm probably going to sign up when I hear about it. I'm like one of those people. I'm like, how do those fucking idiots think that Iraq had WMDs? And then they're going to be like, we need to invade Iran. Iran has intergalaxy nuclear missiles. And I'm going to be like, fuck, dude. We need to invade. What are we doing here, guys? Everyone sign up for the Marines. We need to go to Iran. And I'm just going to immediately get shot, immediately die. I'm just cannon fodder. And they're doing the propaganda, and it's working on me. I'm like, war is hell, but if there's one thing I know about hell, it's that hell is a necessary evil. And so, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna get ready to fight. I'm gonna get immediately blown up by just some dude who just sleeps on a concrete floor all day. My soft American ass, my soft fucking privileged American ass. Some dude that's eaten nothing but like sheepskin and beans for his entire life and just slept on a concrete floor. He's like, you want to fuck with me? You want to fuck with me? That's what the whole country of Iran's doing right now. They're like, they want to fuck with us? It's not going to work out if we do invade Iran. And that's another one of those countries where it's like, how do you have nationalistic pride? Because if you don't know, Iran used to be like a not Muslim country, or not like the kind of like fundamentalist conservative Muslims that they are now. They used to be just like a regular, or I guess like westernized type of, like they had Western ideals. They weren't super conservative. And then America, like the CIA, like performed a coup in Iran. And now we're like, fucking, why are these guys so Muslim and evil? Like, why did they do that? They used to be so chill. And it's like, because the CIA went in there and did that. We've literally, all the wars we've got in the past 30 years have been, even since Vietnam, probably, you could argue since Vietnam, have been against, armies and like groups of people that we created. Like Vietnam, we trained the Vietnamese. We trained like Ho Chi fucking Minh and those guys because Japan invaded Vietnam, and we like armed those guys and taught those guys how to fight. And a lot of those guys just like kept that fucking spirit with them for, the next 20 years. And so when we went into Vietnam, they were like, yeah, we fucking know all your guys' tactics. You taught them to us. Same with the Taliban. The Taliban was like a sect of the Mujahideen. And the Mujahideen was like this fundamentalist Islamic movement in Afghanistan during like the 80s and stuff like that. And during the 80s, the USSR had invaded Afghanistan because they wanted to like push down to like the Indian Ocean or the whatever that ocean's called to get a warm water port, because Russia only has like one warm water port, and even then it's not a warm water port. It's like frozen over most of the year. Like most of Russia's ports are frozen over for most of the year. Like that's why they invaded like Crimea, that little peninsula in Ukraine. They invaded that so they could get a warm water port, so they could, I don't know. Dude, what are they trading? What is Russia trading? It's 90% of it is tundra. Are they trading caribou antlers and shit like that? I have no fucking idea. But they invaded Afghanistan, and we funded the resistance to their invasion. We funded the Mujahideen, which turned into the Taliban. And then we went into Afghanistan and fought the Taliban, an enemy we created for like 20 fucking years. We fought them for 20, an enemy we created. And same with Iraq. I don't know if we ever funded Saddam. I wouldn't be surprised if we did. But we funded like ISIS and shit like that. Like all those fucking groups. We funded those groups because they were fighting against Saddam Hussein. And then we turned around and we were like, these guys are fucking dickheads. We're going to fight these guys too. And that's what we did for like the past 20 fucking years. Since Vietnam, really. And I don't know. I don't know if we ever did that with Hungary. We probably did so. Because as we're going to get into it a little bit, Hungary just keeps fucking fighting. You got to give them credit at this point. They just keep fucking, no matter what, they keep fighting against the resistance. Hungary's basically been this battleground in Europe since the beginning of fucking time. Since since the curse happened, it's been a battleground in Hungary. And so the curse of Turan is a belief that Hungarians, so maybe not just the country of Hungary, but Hungarians as a whole / the country of Hungary, has been under a malicious spell for centuries. Since the year 1000 AD. The curse causes inner strife, pessimism, misfortune, and several historic catastrophes. And so, one of those things, pessimism and misfortune, that's just, you're poor. That's all it is. It's just, people being poor and like blaming it on a curse. That's what it is. Some people choose to blame their being poor on like the government or whatever, and they might be right. The government might be trying to keep them poor on purpose for some reason. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. They blame it on like Jeff Bezos and Amazon or whatever, who's certainly trying to do that. He's just trying to create like a servant class, not even a working class, a literal servant class to just take care of him all the time. But the Hungarians, they chose another way. They didn't blame it on the Jews. I guess they kind of blamed it on God. We'll talk about it a little bit. They kind of blame this one on God. They kind of are like, this one's all God's fault. And not a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people have like, I've never heard the Jews do that. Like the Jews, I don't know what they're blaming it on, but they're not blaming it on God. At this point, I'd be like, or I'd just be like, maybe we're not the chosen people. Maybe that was like, maybe we fucked up with that one. But the Hungarians, they're just blaming it on God. And then the name for the curse in Hungarian is Tarani Otok. That's just a completely made up language. This is an amalgamation of all like the languages of the people who have invaded them for like 1,000 fucking years, and it's not a good one. Tarani Otok is the name of the curse in Hungarian. I feel like most other Hungarian words are like that. Tarani, I like that one, but Otok, it's like that's your name for curse. That one's just, it's a little too short and punchy for it to be like the name of a curse. It needs to be like, I don't know, maybe in Hungarian, like the connotation of it's like the way it is in English, but I feel like curse is just so much better. It feels like this more powerful thing. Otok feels just like a quick punch in the face. It doesn't feel like the same long drawn out thing that like the word curse brings to mind. But the first written mentions of the curse came in the late 19th slash early 20th centuries. It's this, I don't know, some Hungarian writer, probably the only dude in Hungary who could write. And I think maybe the curse existed before that, but no one in Hungary knew how to write. Like I said, it was just like this fucking battleground. It was like they don't have time for like schools or learning how to write or whatever. It's just immediately you give your kid like a spear or whatever and like go fight the fucking Mongols, go fight the fucking Ottomans or whatever. And so I don't think they had time to learn how to write. And in the late 19th century, they had a little bit of time. They learned how to write, and they were like, this fucking kid. The first thing they wrote down, the first school in fucking Hungary was like, there's a curse going on here, and it's fucking everyone up. It might be part of like the curriculum in Hungary. It's like how we teach slavery here. It's like the curse is bigger than everything. It's bigger than slavery. It's bigger than all that. But some believe the curse originates from Hungary's conversion to Christianity in the year 1000, or it's 1001. It was either December 25th, like 1000, or January 1st, 1001. And so somewhere around that time, so 1,000 years at least, this curse has been going on. And it is believed that the pagans cast the curse on Hungary after the conversion. And the paganism, that must have been going on in Hungary must have been fucking insane, dude. Just like I said, it's been a battleground, and it's for 1,000 fucking years. Since the beginning. I don't know if before that it was a battleground, but immediately after that it turned into a battleground. And so it just must have been, the paganism they must have had there must have been fucking insane, dude. It must have put like the Norse shit where they're like wearing antlers and like dancing in a circle or whatever. It must have put that to shame, dude. These guys just living in the fucking woods of Hungary, like the mountains up there and shit. God, they must have been fucking crazy, dude. They must have been wearing like human skin and stuff like that. But this curse, this is one of those things where it's like, just go back to paganism then. If the curse was caused by converting to Christianity, it's kind of a 50-50 shot. Just if you go back to paganism and the curse keeps going on, all right, then there is no curse. We're just kind of fucked. So that would have been my game plan. My game plan would have been like, all right, we're going back to paganism. We're going back to fucking, eating leaves and stuff and calling it medicine. That's the game plan here. No more God. We're going back to paganism just to see if it works. Just as an experiment or whatever, just to see if it works. But no, they just kept going on with Christianity. And the king who did it, his name was Stephen, dude. A guy named Stephen completely fucked over Hungary, I guess for the rest of time. There's like, some curses are like, your family will be cursed for 7 generations or whatever. Like some fucking Irish banshee comes out of the woods. Your family is going to be cursed. I put the curse of Dolray on you for 7 generations. But no, this curse is just forever. These guys must have been pretty fucking powerful because this curse just keeps persisting to this day. And another idea is that the curse, like, it wasn't created then, or like the idea for the curse, I guess, like as a cultural thing, came after the failed Hungarian Revolution. And so now this is the point where we're going to talk about the history of Hungary. I guess the history of Hungary kind of after the year 1000, but first we're going to start off with the failed Hungarian Revolution. In 1848, the news of France's second revolution had reached Hungary. And so France, I guess, they had like that first revolution, and then Napoleon took over, and then they were like, fuck, dude, this guy's worse than the other one. He's trying to conquer Russia, dude. We like just became a country, and this guy's trying to go in and conquer Russia. What are we doing here? And so I guess they went back to a monarchy for a little bit, or it was like I don't know. It's fucking confusing. It's like a monarchy, but it's like a republic at the same time. So maybe it's like a symbolic monarchy. I have no fucking idea. But in 1848, they did a second revolution to become a republic again. So they kept changing their mind. It must have been like a chick that was running this shit. Because one second they were like, all right, we're a monarchy. Oh, now we're a republic. Oh, now we're a monarchy again. Oh, now we're a republic again. That's basically what happened in France over the course of like 80 fucking years, basically. Like after the American Revolution, they just copycatted us, but they didn't do it as well. So they had to go back to the monarchy, and then they went back to a republic again. And so this guy, Lajos Kossuth, a nobleman, he's a Hungarian nobleman. And by the way, at this time, I forgot to write this down. This is like Austria-Hungary time. It's not the Austro-Hungarian Empire yet, but it's just Hungary is basically controlled by Austria at this point. Like I don't know how Austria got in there. I guess because no one else was fighting for Hungary at this point. Like Hungary at this point had been so fucked over that Austria Just some shitty little fucking. They didn't even have Hitler yet. This wasn't even Hitler times in Austria, but they were still able to go in there and take over Hungary. And so Austria, controlled Hungary at this time. And Lajos Kossuth, who was a nobleman, he heard about this and he demanded that Hungary become a parliamentary government. And this dude, I think this dude just like heard about what was happening in France. I don't know if in the second revolution they were chopping as many heads off, but you know what they say, old habits die hard. So I feel like they were still chopping a few heads off here and there. You know, maybe not as much as they were originally, but they were still, they needed it. You know what I mean? It's just, even if it's like one or two, you still got to chop a few heads off. And so he probably heard about that and he was like, yeah, I'm not letting that happen to me, dude. I'm fucking, you know, we're going over to a fucking republic. And so he was like, we need a parliamentary government. And then he also demanded that Austria, by the way, he's a Hungarian nobleman, and he was like, Austria needs to become a constitutional democracy too. And it's like, this guy should not be making these demands. Hungary's already under the control of Austria, right? So he's basically, he doesn't even have that much power to begin with. He basically has no power, and he's like, everything needs to become a constitutional democracy. And it's like, no, dude, we're not going to listen to you. But like, I don't know why he was making those demands. It was like, you don't even have control over your own country, and you're trying to tell this other country what to do with their shit. I guess he was like trying to like inspire people or something. Maybe he was like, if I can fuck over Austria, then Hungary's going to be good. I think maybe that was the mindset there, but like I said, it's a failed revolution. So he didn't really inspire too many fucking people. You know what I mean? It was like when you go, anyone that's ever played football in America knows like there's the same teams, like high school football, they're going to win the championship like every fucking year. And so when you eventually play those teams in the playoffs, your coach is going to be like, all right, fucking fuck what everyone else said, all right? This team could beat that other team. And no, you're going to get whooped 70-7. It's just what's going to happen there. But Hungary was like, all right, let's fucking go. Let's do this. The country of Hungary, that I guess was controlled by Austria at the time, was like, fuck it. Let's do this. We're going to have this war. We're going to be free from Austria. We're going to be free from the monarchy. And the monarchy at the time, I think, was the Habsburgs. And the Habsburgs, you want to get into some real Illuminati shit, this might be the next episode I do, because the Habsburgs was like this family that basically controlled all of Europe at the time. They controlled... At one point, they controlled Spain. They controlled the Austro-Hungarian Empire. I think they were like in France or something like that, or like Germany. So these guys fucking controlled everything. And this dude was like, he probably didn't know that. Like, there was no written record of this. And so he was like, all right, we're just going to go to war against it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And it's like, no. And I think the Habsburgs were also like in Russia or some shit like that. But Hungary, they waged their war, and they controlled most of the country. They had like one or two cities left, but they didn't have any control over Austria. They had control over Hungary, but not Austria. And so Austria was just like, send in the fucking big dogs, send in fucking the Romanov family, and that's what they did. The Russians came in, and they were like, all right, no more. They just fucking stomped it out. Literally, like, curb stomped these guys. Bite the fucking curb. That's what they did to them. Hit them with a Mario jump. Completely crushed the revolution. And the revolution had been happening for like a year at this point, I think. Like around a year. And so they were really feeling themselves, the Hungarians. They were like, we control our own country. And Russia came in, and in like fucking 2 weeks, destroyed the revolution. Took over. And they were like, all right, no more of this, dude. No more democracy. Really? This is what we're talking about here? Fucking democracy? No, we're not fucking doing this. And they came out and they stomped these guys out. And another reason they did this was a lot of these like monarchies were scared that fucking if a revolution happened in another country, that it would happen in theirs. You know what I mean? Like the country, like the populace of their country, you know, the peasants that are picking wheat all day would be like, fucking, why are we picking wheat? Well, these guys do nothing. And so they were scared that was going to happen there. And so that's probably another reason why Russia came in. But they stopped the Hungarian army just completely. It was like fucking that meme of like the guy pulling on Superman's cape. You know, it's like that. They just fucking, no, stop that, dude. It was like a fucking angry mom in a church or something, just grabbing the back of your neck, being like, be fucking quiet, dude, you're in church. That's what they did to these guys. And so they came in, fucking destroyed these guys. And they really, I guess Austria just completely gave up at this point. They were like, no, we're not fighting this fucking war. We're going to let the Russians do all of it. Because the Russians captured all of the Hungarians' generals and just handed them over to Austria. So I guess Russia was like on some big brother shit. Like, all right, our little brother's getting his ass whooped right now. Fuck it, we're just gonna go beat the shit out of this guy. I think that's what Russia did. They really didn't want to be there, because if you know anything about Russia, that's a group of people that they love killing, dude. They love fucking war. And so if they really wanted to, they probably would have killed all those generals themselves. But they were like, no, let's fucking hand them over to Austria. And so Kossuth, the guy who started the revolution, the guy whose like whole idea it was, the guy who was like, Austria and Hungary, both of you guys are going to be free from these evil monarchies. Fucking let's start this revolution. He just left. He fled to the Ottoman Empire. And by the way, the Ottoman Empire was beefing kind of historically with Hungary. So this is a real dick move. And the people of Hungary call him the Judas of Hungary. They fucking hate this guy because he started the revolution and then just left. He went to the Ottoman Empire, and then I think he came to America and like brought some troops with him and like fought in the Civil War, which is fucking, this guy's just hopping around, and he probably joined the Confederate side. If you look at his record, he doesn't join the winning side too often, so he probably joined the Confederates and fought over there. But he did eventually come over and fight in the Civil War. I don't know, he might have fought on the Union side. That might have been like a thing where he was like, I just lost this war so bad, I'm gonna go join the side of another war, and like I'm gonna join the side that's obviously gonna win. And so he might have joined the Union. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water right there real quick. But he left. He fled to the Ottoman Empire, and once he was in the Ottoman Empire, he just pointed the finger at another guy. He was like, "All right, I'm safe now. I'm on the bench. It's all his fault. It's all this guy's fault." And the guy he blamed it on was General Gorgi. Gorgi? I think it's like the Hungarian version of Gregory, but he blamed the whole revolution on this guy. He was like, it was all fucking his idea. And so on October 6th, 1849, 13 Hungarian generals were executed for their part in the revolution. 13 of these guys. They fucking killed them all, firing squad or whatever. And it is said that during the execution, the Austrian soldiers who killed the generals were like laughing and like drinking beer, and like they were clinking their glasses, like cheersing to it. They'd be like, hell yeah, we fucking did it. Kick these guys' ass. They didn't kick these guys' ass. The fucking Russian Empire did it all. But I guess they were celebrating. And so Hungary, the country, I guess just as a whole, vowed for 150 years to not clink their glasses together. And they still have a holiday for like I guess it's like their Memorial Day for a failed revolution. And that just goes to show, like, maybe it's not the curse. Maybe you guys are just weak. Because why are you guys celebrating or, like, still talking about a failed revolution? I don't know. But for 150 years, they were like, we're not fucking clinking glasses, dude. And so the curse, or, like, that vow did end in 1999. And so maybe they all had, like, a big old party and started clinking their glasses together, being like, we're finally free from Austria. Boy, oh boy, do I have some news for you, because it's not going to... It's still not, you're still not at the end of the tunnel. It's still not going to be, peaches and cream from here. But that happened. And so after the war, and this is where they think the curse came into play, because they just, the country of Hungary faced extreme oppression for 15 years after the war, for a little more than for 15 years, almost like 20 years. They faced extreme oppression against them. Completely, I guess they were just, it was like a England-Ireland thing where they were like, no, you're not allowed to speak Hungarian. You're not allowed to do whatever weird Christianity you do. Fucking no. And so they experienced, this insane oppression for 15 years. And so they think maybe that's where the curse came into play. They were emo. They didn't have any fight in them anymore. So they were like, it's a curse. A curse came, and that's a very Irish thing to be like, a fucking curse. It's a curse for the English, the powerful English. They put a curse on us. But... So maybe Hungary and fucking Ireland are kind of analogous in that way, just blaming it all on a curse. I don't have any fight in me left. It was a curse. A curse came in and it fucking fucked us over. But they blamed it on this curse. They blamed the fucking war, the failed revolution. But in 1867, the Austro-Hungarian Compromise gave Hungary a lot more autonomy and freedom and shit like that. They weren't completely fucked over, And so... And this is where, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was created. They were like, fine, we'll fucking put your name in the name. And they do, to be fair, that is half the country. But the curse still persisted. Even after Austria was put in the Austro-Hungarian Empire name, the curse still persisted. So, the curse is also blamed for Hungary's high suicide rate. But it's not that high, dude. It's really not that high. So Hungary is ranked 54th in suicide rates, and so I was like, is that high? You know, it's in like the top third about of countries, the top like 25%. So it's up there, but it's not all the way up there. You know what I mean? And it is like the third highest suicide rate in Europe, but Europe has all like the highest suicide rates. So they're in a competitive league. You know what I mean? This isn't some like bullshit, fucking like the Caribbean or whatever. This is a competitive league that they're in, the suicide rate league. It's a fucking competitive league. And so this ranks behind several former Soviet Union states and the USA. So they're doing better than America is. But it's also Hungary, so I can't imagine that the census taking is like that that intensive, I can't imagine that some Hungarian guy's going around with a clipboard writing all this shit down, being like, another guy killed himself. I don't think it's like that, intensive. I don't think they're looking that deeply into it, so it might be a little bit higher than the 54th. But the highest, by the way, is a country that I did an episode about, Lesotho. Lesotho has the highest suicide rates in the world. They're number one, which that's a fucking twist. But if you listen to that episode, if you know anything about Lesotho, that does make sense. And by the way, it is pronounced Lesotho. I looked it up after I did the episode. The whole episode, I was calling it Lesotho. It's Lesotho. But they do have the highest suicide rates in the world. They also have like the highest rate of AIDS in the world. So maybe I think those two things might be a little bit correlated. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a lot of Dallas Buyers Club going on in Lesotho. Like, their fucking medical industry, I don't think it's that advanced. I think if you get AIDS in Lesotho, you're kind of fucked. So maybe that's why their suicide rate's so high. Because because everyone's got AIDS. So and everyone's gonna die from AIDS. It's not one of those countries where they're running like those AIDS medicine commercials, which, by the way, I see all the fucking time. I don't know why they're showing me. It's like, even if I was gay, I'm not fucking. You guys know, you fucking, the algorithm knows how much porn I watch. I'm not fucking. Why are you giving me these fucking AIDS medicine commercials with like a 7-foot tall transgender Latina woman? I get that, and it's always that shit. It's always a 7-foot tall trans Latina woman talking about AIDS medicine. Like, no, dude, it's not who's getting AIDS. Maybe that's who's getting AIDS. But that lady, even if she is sucking and fucking, she's a high level of sucking and fucking. Everyone wants to fuck the 7-foot tall transgender Latina. She's not getting AIDS. She's fucking she's getting tests before she does that. So, but Lesotho does have the highest rate of AIDS in the world. But the Caribbean countries, they have the lowest suicide rates in the world, like by far the lowest. So I guess when they call it paradise on earth, the only person from the Caribbean who's ever killed themselves is Jeffrey Epstein. So, the lowest, Jeffrey Epstein might be the only one holding up that suicide rate, but they do have like the lowest level of suicide in the world. And back to the curse, though. In 1526, the Kingdom of Hungary lost the Battle of Mohawks to the Ottoman Empire. So I guess the Ottomans and Hungary, like I was saying earlier with the Mongols, it's kind of like this gateway into Western Europe. Like, you're not going to go through Poland. It's going to be hard to go through like Sweden or whatever. But Hungary's like right there. It's like right in the middle of things. It's like if you want to get to like Germany and France and like all that shit over there, you kind of have to go through Hungary. And so it's like this battleground of, people who want to control Western empires. If you're coming from the east, you got to go through Hungary first. And so the Ottomans, they did that, and the Mongols did that as well. But they lost that battle. And this loss led to the Ottoman occupation and control of Hungary and like Europe and shit like that for 150 years. And during those 150 years, Hungary was like essentially a battleground. It was basically Afghanistan for fucking 150 years. So you can't blame them for coming up with the curse. It was this battleground between like the most powerful empires in the world. And, they were just fighting there constantly for 150 years. And this is also like, I think Vlad the Impaler, that's when he comes into play, because Transylvania, Romania, that area was also part of like this battleground between the Habsburgs family and the Ottomans for 150 years. Yes, it was basically Afghanistan for 150 years. I'm going to talk about the Mongol invasion a little bit, but that happened like in the 1200s. So basically, these guys couldn't catch a fucking break. And even now, they still can't catch a break. But for like from 1200 to like the mid to late 1900s, like to the 1990s, they couldn't catch a fucking break. So I can't blame them for coming up with the curse. But eventually the Ottomans were driven out, but Hungary was absorbed by Austria. So this is when Hungary, they went from one fucking, It's that scene in Megamind where it's like, oh, I wouldn't say you're free, more like under new management. Like these guys, they were like, we're free from the Ottomans, yes, yes, yes. You know, they were shooting their AKs in the air, clinking their beers together because this is before the 13 generals were executed. So they were clinking their beers together, and then Austria was like, no, 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 you are not free just yet. You are not a country just yet. What shall I do with Hungary? I can do whatever I want. It is my little plaything. So they got a little fucked over there. But in 1920, and this is another, aspect of the curse, the Treaty of Trianons was signed, which resulted in Hungary losing 72% of its land for its involvement in World War One. And if you know anything about like the aftermath of World War One, you know the wrong countries were fucked over there. Like Germany didn't even start the war. It was started. It's so convoluted. The World War One is like the most convoluted fucking thing ever. But the war was started by like the Austro-Hungarian Empire in fucking like Yugoslavia or something like that. Because the Austro-Hungarian Empire, it's not just modern day Hungary and Austria. It's also like the former Yugoslavia and then like parts of Romania and shit like that. So it was a pretty sizable empire. But Hungary, for some reason, like Hungary didn't even want to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and they still lost 72% of their land after World War One. And then that's also why Germany got fucked over. I don't know if it was like the same treaty, but it's also why Germany got fucked over in World War One because they just buried these guys. Because it was the First World War. It was like a test. It was being like, I think if we just completely destroy these countries, they'll be happy with that, right? Like they'll be happy with being completely fucked over and having to pay war reparations with money they don't have. Like I think they'll be happy with that. Like they won't get angry and try to start another revolution or another world war, right? But Hungary got completely fucked over. And then during World War II, Hungary allied with the Axis powers, which is like the Nazis and Japan, like the bad guys during World War I or World War II, allegedly. They partnered up with those guys, and so they blamed that on the curse too. They were like, the curse made us do it. The curse made us become Nazis. It's all their fault. But to be fair to them, they had kind of been fucked over by the West, and so they were like, yeah, fuck you guys, we're going to join the Nazis. And so they blamed that. They did blame that on the curse, though. And so you're thinking, all right, World War II, they got to be free after this. This got to be, like, they allied with the completely wrong side, like the most evil side in any war ever. They allied with those guys. It's got to be over now, right? Like the curse has run its course. It's exhausted itself at this point. It keeps fucking him over. No, because after the Second World War, Hungary became a satellite state for the Soviet Union. And basically what this means is the Soviet Union, they wanted like a buffer, basically, between them and Western Europe. And so they controlled East Germany, Hungary, not the Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was like, no, fuck you, we're going to do our own thing. But they controlled Hungary and like East Germany and like a few other countries around there. You know, it's the, what's that called? The Iron Curtain. Like that's what that was basically. It was like a bunch of like these puppet governments that they controlled as like a buffer between them and the capitalists over in Western Europe. And so Hungary was one of those satellite states. And so it was basically just controlled by the Soviet Union. And in 1956, Hungary said, we're not done yet, dude. You keep knocking us down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. They had their vodka drink and they had their whiskey drink and they got right the fuck back up and they started fighting again. Just started brawling with the Soviet Union in 1956. And they attempted a second revolt, which lasted for 15 days. They had some fight in them, but they didn't have that much fight. But for the first like few, I guess, days of the war, of the revolution, the attempted revolution, they were doing pretty well. They were like, all right, we fucking got this. They were getting in like firefights and stuff, fucking up the Soviet Union a little. And then the Soviet Union was just like, yeah, we're going to use tanks to kill all you guys. And so the revolution, it only lasted 15 days. But in those 15 days, 3,000 Hungarian revolutionaries were killed and 3,000 civilians were killed. So the Soviet Union got active. They killed 6,000 Hungarians in fucking 15 days. And you're like, all right, that's bad, but at least, was the rest of Hungary okay? No. Over 200,000, some people say 250,000, Hungarians were forced to flee after that happened. So they were like, all right, you think you can kill me? You can't kill me, bitch. They thought they were John Wick or something, and they got back up with the knife to fight the big bad guy, the big jacked like Russian dude with all the tattoos. And they were like, I'm gonna stab this guy in the neck. And he was just like, he hit the Indiana Jones. He just pulled out the gun and shot him. And so 200,000 were forced to flee Hungary. But all right, the Soviet Union collapsed in 1989. It's over. the curse is over. It's ended. It's Hungary. We're going to be back. We're going to become the next world superpower. No. In 2010, Hungary began experiencing democratic backsliding. So after, I guess, the fall of the Soviet Union, Hungary was like, all right, let's fucking go. We're a democracy again. And then in 2010, like 10 years fucking later, 10, 20-ish years later, they were like, they began experiencing democratic backsliding, which basically means we're in a shit situation again. And Hungary currently has a very strenuous relationship with the EU. It's part of the EU, but they're kind of like like every time Hungary like tries to introduce like a bill or like tries to do something, the EU like shoots it down. And so they're kind of experiencing a little bit of trouble with the EU. But I'm going to try to talk a little bit about the Mongolian invasions. I don't know if I can find it. No, I can't. But Mongolia, like the Mongol Empire, the Huns and all that shit, they invaded Hungary and like I said, killed everyone, raped everyone. That's why it's called Hungary. They basically got controlled by the Huns, and that's all the notes I have. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna keep talking about shit. What is there to talk about? I don't know. Not a lot's going on in my life right now. It's pretty boring. I got to sign up for classes still. Yeah, fucking my academic advisor, the guy. So at my school, you have to meet with your academic advisor before you sign up for classes, and you sign up for classes online. And so if I tried to sign up for classes, it just wouldn't have let me sign up for classes. I couldn't even like reserve a spot because I hadn't met with my academic advisor. And you're going to be like, maybe the curse of Turan. This could be the curse of Turan coming over to fuck me over. But like I emailed this guy like 10 fucking times. I swear to God, 10 times over the course of 2 weeks. I emailed him like, during like the week before registration for classes began. I was like, all right, hey dude, can I fucking meet with you? And he was like, no fucking response. I emailed him for the week of enrollment, still no response. And so I finally had to go to like some random chick and be like, yo, can you fucking lift my thing? And it took her like a week to do that. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna sign up for classes whenever I feel like it, because all the classes that I need to take have probably already been filled up by like freshmen or whatever, because I have to take freshman level classes. And I do need to sign up for classes at another school that I'm trying to go to. So the curse of Turan, it's omnipresent. I'm not even a Hungarian, and it's fucking me over. But this is what we need to do. As like a country, it's like, yeah, maybe it is all the Jews' fault, or maybe there is like some grand Illuminati and like the reptilian elite are like fucking us over, but like we're not going to stop those guys. They've been doing it since the beginning of time. So we need to get our own curse going on. We could go with the curse of Trump because it's kind of close to the curse of Turan. We could go with that. We could just blame it on someone completely random. We could like just pick out a guy like a Greg or whatever and be like, this is all Greg's fault, and blame it all on him. We gotta choose a path. We gotta figure out someone to blame it all on, and not like someone like a group of people, one individual person. Blame it all on him. Be like, fuck you, it's all your fault. I don't know who Turan is. I think Turan, when I was looking it up, the Turanian people is like this idea that, so it was like they were kind of all beefing with each other, like Russia, Hungary, like all like Eastern Europe like that, and like kind of Central Asia a little bit. They were all beefing with each other. And then some dude came in and he hit the classic, you guys are all related. Like you guys are all brothers basically. And that's where like the idea of the Turanian people comes from. It's like this guy was like, holy fuck, everyone's beefing with each other. Like thousands of people are dying, hundreds of thousands of people. And so he came in and he was like, you guys are all the same thing. He hit that. And that's what we need to do in the Middle East. We need to like, create some like pan Middle East identity and be like, you guys are all the same thing. Let's stop beefing with each other. But they might get a little too powerful. You know what I mean? Because I think at least one of them has nukes. I think Iran has nukes. And so I think if we do that, we could be in a little bit of trouble. But this guy came in and he was like, you guys are all Turanians. And he was like, he was like Central Asia, Eastern Europe, you guys are all the same thing. You guys need to stop beefing because you guys are basically brothers. So he came in and he did that, and I guess that's where the curse of Turan comes from. He was like, I don't know how those two things, maybe it's like the curse of the Turanian people, but everyone else kind of didn't do that bad. Like the USSR, say what you want about them, the people there might have not had a good run, but like the country, like the Soviet Union, that empire, they had a pretty good fucking run. So I guess they weren't under the curse of it. I guess they were like, Hungary, you're pretending to be Turanian, so we're gonna dump all this curse on you because you're pretending to be part of us even though you're not. And Hungary, like I said, was like so weak at the time. Like this happened in like the mid 1800s, I want to say. And so Hungary was so weak at the time, they were probably like, yeah, you guys aren't fucking us over at all. You're not part of the Turanians. It might have been that type of thing. And that's why, like, the curse of Turan all happened on Hungary. They took, maybe it's like a sacrifice thing. You know, maybe Hungary needs to, like, embrace it a little bit and be like, yeah, it could have, all the Turanians could have been fucked, but it was just us. Like, we took on the brunt of the curse. It's only happening to us. We could have, like, spread it around a little bit, diluted it a little bit, and fucked over everyone. But no, it's just us. It's just Hungary. We're the only ones that got fucked up. But I have no fucking idea. I really have no idea. Like I said, Hungary, basically a third world country, not a lot of written records happening over there, so there's no way of knowing. There's literally no way of knowing. It could have been completely made up by like that one guy in the late 1800s. I have no fucking idea where it came from. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got for this episode. I don't know what geopolitical things are happening in the world. You know, does Israel need my help again? Do I have to tell Israel, hey, stop doing that shit? Guys, why can't we all be friends? Do I have to do that again? Do I have to? That's what I might have to do. I might have to cook up like some absolutely bullshit, because that's what Turanian was. It was like some absolutely bullshit. He was like, you guys are all related to each other. Look at this, look at that. Oh, you guys are all related. It was basically a conspiracy. It was basically like the curse of Turan. As little sense as it makes, it's like, no, there's this grand geopolitical thing happening. It's not a curse. All right, you guys are just like in a very bad location, you know, in terms of like what wars are going to happen. And you guys, you've made a couple bad decisions here and there. I'm not going to put it all on like the universe being like completely fucking you over. You did make a few wrong decisions here and there. You didn't have to ally with the Nazis. And I was reading up on that, and they were like, the reason we allied with the Nazis is because they were our trade partners. We had to ally with them. And it's like, you got Russia right over there. The people that hate them the most in the world. The people that hate Germany more than anyone else. You had those guys right there. You could have just been like, yeah, we're with you guys now. And so you might be thinking, like, Russia seems a little far away from Hungary. Ukraine is right next to Hungary, and Russia kind of controlled those guys. And so they could have just been like, yeah, we're with Ukraine. But I think Ukraine might have also allied with the Nazis because of how much they hated Russia. That might have been also another reason why Hungary allied with them. Just because Russia came in, put belt to fucking ass when they tried that revolution. I mean, they seriously came in, and the way the article is written, it made it seem like they just came in and in one day just completely fucked up their whole revolution. So that might have been another reason why they were like, no, we're chilling with the Nazis on this one. And the Nazis, they were some hype men. You know, they were getting everyone fucking hyped to go in there and get active. They were really getting everyone like, let's fucking go. Let's do this shit. Let's have some fucking fun. You know, that's what the Nazis were doing. And that might have been, you know, I would have got by the Nazis. I've said this before. If he just came in and he told me, he's like, you're better than everyone else. Like, everyone blames, like, black people for, like, they're like, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys getting involved with BLM or whatever? And if it's like, if someone was like, yeah, we're going to give you guys reparations, we're going to give you guys all $1 million, I'd be like, yeah, I'm with BLM. Like, I don't care if it's not true or if it's not going to work. Do you know how much $1 million is? Do you know how many Newports and the fucking Chrysler 300s I could buy with that? I'm joining BLM, dude. I want my reparations. I need that money. And reparations are one of those things, too, where it's just, I don't know how we're still talking about that. I don't know how anyone thinks that's going to work. Like they're all just going to, all black people are going to get however many fucking dollars. I don't know how people think, because there's lots of, I think, there's like some statistic out there, and it's like more Nigerians, or like maybe it's more Africans as a whole, but I think it's just Nigerians have immigrated to America than like were ever brought over to America as part of the transcontinental or the transatlantic slave trade. And so I'm not saying that, like, you know, slavery's over, boom, everything, we're all friends again. But I am saying, you know what I mean? It's going to be hard to tell. It's going to be, are you Nigerian? But there is a difference between black Americans and like African people. Like African people, we might be able to do that just because of how much African people hate they hate black Americans, dude. They are not the biggest fucking fans of them at all. They're like, you people, you come around here and you play that big music and you have your hair long. What are you doing? They're basically like the grandpas of fucking of like, I guess, black people as a whole. Like, that's what African people are. They're like, your hair is long and you play loud music. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. Why are you doing this? That's what they're like. You know, they're like the Bill Cosby, like, pull up your pants crowd. Like, that's what, especially Nigeria. I've never met a Nigerian. I think I probably have, because I think they are Catholic, and so I probably met a few of them at Catholic school and Catholic church and all that shit, but from everything I know about them as like a conglomeration of shit I've seen on social media, they're like the Bill Cosbys. They're the grandpas of this shit. They're like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. What? You play loud music and you have long hair and you wear your pants low. What are you doing? Huh? Knock some sense into your head. They're basically, like I said, basically the grandpas. This is how you know I'm out of energy at this point. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. They're basically the grandpas. They're basically the grandpas. But whatever. No one's listening to this. But like I said, this podcast is basically just practice for just learning how to talk as much as possible. Because like I've said before, this is the key in life. If you can just like talk someone down, like just completely wear them down over the course of like days, hours, years even, that's how you become successful. You want a promotion at work, just wear your boss down. Just be the only thing that's in your boss's mind at all. You know, just like every time you see him, stop and talk to him for like 15 fucking minutes. Even if he's late for a meeting. He's like, oh, I'm late for a meeting. I got to get to this meeting. Stop him and fucking talk to him for 20 minutes and just completely wear him down. Just grind him into a dust to where you can make some strategic moves or like get a promotion, you know? Be the only thing in his mind. Even if he fucking hates you, he might still be like, well, he's a good worker, even though you're not. Because no one at your job is a good worker. You guys are all lazy as shit. You guys all have no hope for the future. You're working for no fucking reason. But maybe, just maybe you can get that promotion and buy a Cadillac Escalade with the truck bed in it. You know, that one? Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can work your way there. But no one knows. I don't know. One thing I do know, though, is that I have maybe the stinkiest feet on earth, dude. Who's that guy? There's like a children's artist named Stinky Feet. Move the fuck over, dude, because I think I'm taking that title, dude. My feet smell so bad. I pretty much, it's warm outside, so I'm pretty much only wearing Crocs. Even my Crocs smell bad, dude. Like they're the most breathable fucking shoes on earth. They literally have gigantic like vents and air holes in them. They basically have like a giant like cooling fan in them, and they still somehow stink like shit. And I have like this spray that I put in my like shoes and my boots and stuff when they smell bad. And fucking I have to put it on my Crocs, but it's like a liquid spray. And so whenever I spray it in my Crocs, and it's like powder and liquid. And so you spray it in there and then it dries and then there's like this powder there. And so my Crocs are like covered in like white powder and shit, and they're like slippery as hell. My feet smell fucking awful. I don't know how it's possible. And I don't have like bad BO as a whole. I do have powerful BO. Like my armpits, like I don't have like that oniony, like that shitty BO. My BO kind of smells like tacos and weed. Or like Taco Bell and weed, not like a nice Mexican, like a nice fucking authentic taco, like Taco Bell and weed. So it's not like the worst smell on earth. It's not, you know, I've never had like an oniony BO smell, but it's powerful. You know, it's not like powerful like it fills up a room, but like deodorant doesn't really work on it. Like, like I'll put on like, I'll spread the deodorant on there, spread that aluminum all over, and it fucking like, it just mixes with the deodorant and just creates a whole new smell. It smells like sweet. I don't know. And I've been using the same stick of deodorant since like 8th grade because I don't always use deodorant. I don't get like, because like I said, my BO isn't that powerful. It's not like fucking everywhere I walk. I'm not like a French person or whatever where it fills up whatever room I'm in. You know, it's not like mustard gas or whatever. Because some people do have that BO where they walk in a fucking room and you're just, I don't have that type of BO. My BO is like I said, it's powerful. I guess it just hates deodorant maybe. Like that's maybe its thing. It's like, no, dude, you're not going to stop me from smelling that bad. And that is the balance of it, where it's like deodorant doesn't really work on it, but it also doesn't smell that bad. You know, it doesn't get, you know, it's not like some people get that. I got a boy with a real oniony BO. I call him Onion Boy sometimes because that's a powerful BO. I don't know how it works. I don't know. I haven't been hanging around with him that much because I'm, 8 hours away from him. But he has been losing a little bit of weight, so maybe the BO will go away then. But it's powerful, dude. And like whenever I go over to his house, I like borrow his blankets to like when I sleep on his couch. And his blankets, he has like this weighted blanket, and I'm pretty sure you can't like wash weighted blankets. And so his weighted blanket it's crazy, dude. It's crazy how oniony this thing smells. It's like I just sleep without a blanket. If like the weighted blanket is the only one left, I'm going no blanket because that thing. Whew, God damn, is that powerful. And weighted blankets, I got a weighted blanket a few years ago for like Christmas or something, and I was like, dude, this thing is going to start putting me right to sleep. And I think maybe the problem with my sleep isn't that I don't have a weighted blanket or that like weighted blankets don't work on me. I think it's that I just stare at a screen of light right until I go to sleep. Like literally as I'm going to sleep, my TV's playing fucking Frank the Tank trivia or whatever. I think maybe that's the bigger problem here is that I constantly have to have a stream of like not even information, just a stream of like noise and content going into my brain at all times. I don't think it's the weighted blanket or the fan or the temperature of the room. I think it might be that. I think it might be the fact that even if I do turn all that shit off, my mind is still racing 1,000 miles an hour even as I fall asleep. And I'm like it literally until I fall asleep, my brain is like racing 1,000 miles an hour. But like as you're falling asleep, like your brain is like slowly turning off. And so this happens to me like all the fucking time. And I freaked out about it this one time, but like as I'm falling asleep, like my brain is still racing as fast as I can, but it's like it's also like not working, right? Because I'm going to sleep. And so I'm just like just random like words are popping into my head like and I'm like I can't remember things like as I'm falling asleep. And so one time, dude, this one time in like high school, I just had like a complete nervous breakdown for some reason for like a week in high school. I just had like this complete nervous breakdown, and I convinced myself that like when I was falling asleep and like my brain was just making nonsense, I was like, I have dementia. I was like doing research about dementia, being like, what's up with this shit? What's going on with dementia? And I was like, I convinced myself that I had like CTE or dementia from not even playing high school football. I didn't even play. I wasn't even a starter, but I convinced myself that I had CTE just because I was having like a nervous fucking breakdown. But I do, and another reason I know I had that nervous breakdown was because I fucking, if I don't get 13 hours of sleep a night, like if I don't get the most sleep, I like my brain just completely stops working. Completely just like as a whole stops fucking working. It's really incredible to see. But I still have like that thing in me that makes my brain move 1,000 miles per hour constantly. And so it's still like I'm basically schizophrenic because I'm basically like most people when they're sleepy, their brain is just like, well, it's off. Like it's not working. They're not thinking. But like mine is just, it has to keep going no matter what. Like I don't stop thinking ever. I don't know if other people do. I feel like some people like they like lie about that. They're like, yeah, I can just turn off my brain. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how your brain works. But mine is always moving 1,000 miles per hour. It's just, I'm dumb too. That's the other thing about it is that I'm very fucking stupid. And so my brain is moving 1,000 miles an hour with just pure fucking stupidity in that. And add on top of that the fact that I need 15 fucking hours of sleep to be able to function, and you got the perfect like mixture for like schizophrenia or something like that, especially if I watch a horror movie. Like I watched Longlegs a couple weeks ago, maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, and that movie's not even that scary. Like nothing about it is really scary at all. It's a really good movie. A lot of people shit on it, but I think they just didn't understand it. Like I think the whole point of that movie, like there's no like happy ending to it. Like there's no the bad guy got killed, Leatherface is in the field swinging his chainsaw around because he didn't kill like the good guys or whatever. Like there's no real satisfying end to it. And so a lot of people were like, yeah, that movie shit. I thought it was really fucking good. But like I watched that movie and I was walking around and I didn't have that much sleep, and I'm also very stupid and my brain has to go 1,000 miles an hour. And so like so I was just like, fuck, dude, Longlegs. I guess I was like, my brain, like my subconscious was like, dude, Longlegs is out here somewhere, dude. But I don't know. But I also like, I don't care that much either. You add that on top of that of me being like, yeah, I don't really care. Longlegs is going to come to me and he's going to kill me or whatever. And by the way, Longlegs was just like a regular fucking dude. Like I could have beat the shit out of that guy. That's one of those movies I turned into a full black woman watching that movie. Like some people, they shit on black women for constantly talking in the movie theater. I don't anymore. I used to up until 3 weeks ago. I used to. And then I watched that movie and I was like, oh, this is what they must feel like watching every movie ever. Like every movie where like the main characters are white, and even if they're not white, just like where the main characters are just like dumb or whatever. Like I just felt that so strongly in that movie. I was like, just kill that guy. Just shoot him in the fucking head. What are you doing? Like I was literally, and I was like early in the morning too. I watched like a horror movie at like 8 a.m. and I was screaming at the TV being like, come on now, what the fuck is that shit? What are you doing, man? You don't go in there. White bitch, listen here, you white bitch. What the fuck are you doing? Don't go in there. Goddamn. Like that's what I felt like. I literally hit like the frustrated goddamn when I was watching that movie. Because I was just like, Just kill that guy. Like, what are we doing here? This clearly isn't a person who's supposed to, like, live a life on Earth. Shoot him in the fucking head. What are we doing? You guys are cops. What are we doing here? Just kill the fucking guy. And there's this other lady who, like, pulled out this shotgun. And she was like, so Longlegs, I'm going to spoil the movie. There's really no spoilers in this movie. Kind of, but not really. But I guess it's a little bit of a spoiler. I guess it is. But, like, I kind of, because I'm, like, so smart and I'm, like, really good at analyzing movies, I kind of knew what was happening the whole time. Even though there was, the only spoiler I had for the movie was, like, it sucks. Just some, like, dumb chick on TikTok who didn't get her satisfying ending where, like, you know, he's like, it sucks. There's no Hawkeyes in it. It sucks. Even though there is a Hawkeye. I think the guy that plays, maybe it's not him, but I think it's the guy that plays Irving, the office manager in Severance. That guy's a fucking hunk. I would let him sever me. You know, that guy's a honk, dude. That guy's like he's real good looking. I think he's in that movie. I think he's in Longlegs too, but I don't really fucking know. But what the fuck was I going to say about the movie? But oh yeah, at one point, Longlegs is like, he basically works for the devil, right? He basically, like, he has like a contract with the devil or something. I have no fucking idea. But like, he gives like these families dolls, and inside like the doll is like the devil, like the spirit of the devil is inside this doll, and so it slowly like corrupts everyone around them. It's almost like that one Infinity Stone in Avengers, you know, like that scene. I think it's in the first Avengers where it's like Loki's scepter is like laying there, and like all the Avengers start fighting each other. That's basically what this doll is, and so he goes around and he gives these dolls to people to like fuck with their families and make them all kill each other. Like, that's what the doll does. It makes them all kill each other. But he shows up to like this one chick's house. Like, so the main character is like this detective, right? And when she was a kid, she met Longlegs, and like Longlegs was gonna give her a doll to like, you know, fuck with the family and make them kill each other and shit, even though it was just like a mother and her daughter. It was like just 2 people were gonna die. Usually he gets like 6 or 7, or like a nice family of like 4 or something like that, but he was only getting 2 here. You know, it was a tough year for Longlegs. The fucking economic recession hit him too. But he shows up to like this little girl's house and he's like, I'm gonna give you this doll. And the mom comes out and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And she has like this shotgun. She has like a double barrel shotgun, like a classic fucking I keep my neighborhood white with this shotgun, like that type of shotgun. And she pulls up and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And Longlegs like does some like, I don't know, like some little fucking leprechaun dance. And he's like, oh, and like just fucking, he turns basically Irish. He's like, I'm gonna put a curse on your family. And she like, I was like, why didn't you shoot him there? And like that's why the movie keeps going on, is because that lady didn't just shoot him right there. She was like, he basically convinced her, he's like, whether you shoot me or not, like this devil curse is going to happen to you. And so she ends up working for Longlegs. And it's like, the movie could have been ended there if you just shot that guy and you didn't even have the doll yet. Just shoot him, because Longlegs gave her all the information. He told her exactly like how it works, basically. And it was like, well, I don't have the fucking doll yet, so I'm just going to shoot you in the fucking head. Like, that's what I would have done. And it's also, he's like it's Nick Cage, and it's Nick Cage now. So it's like a 70-year-old dude. It's like, yeah, I'll just beat you to death with my bare head. Like, what are we doing here? I don't even have the doll yet. You're telling me the doll needs to be here for, like, the devil curse to happen. Yeah, I'll just kill you, and then it's all done. You're trespassing anyway. I don't know. That, like, even now I'm still talking about it. And I'm still angry about it. I'm like, why didn't you just kill him? I get, like, killing someone is a hard thing to do. And also, anyone that's, like, even heard of this movie, you've seen Longlegs. It's supposed to be this guy that has all, like, this plastic surgery. He's basically like a Michael Jackson, right? He has all this plastic surgery, and his face is painted white, and he has, like, all, like, this white hair and shit. And it's like, yeah, just kill this guy. Kill this retarded guy and let the movie be over with. I was so fucking angry watching it. I couldn't believe what I was like... And it's supposed to be one of those things. And there's another movie like this called The Double, it's Jesse Eisenberg, who I'm not the biggest fan of Jesse Eisenberg. One of my boys shares this opinion as well. Like, he just has like a face I don't like. You know, just something about him. But it's a really good movie. And it's based off like this short story written by this Russian guy. But basically, this guy has a job, you know, at like some bullshit bureaucratic thing. It's called Kafkaesque. It's like that's what the movie is. Like, the general feeling of it is Kafkaesque, because it's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of almost exactly like the normal world, but not. It's like surreal in that way. But basically, like, this guy shows up, like this double shows up to I don't know, I guess replace Jesse Eisenberg. And Jesse Eisenberg like jumps off this building at like the very end of the movie because anything that happens to one of them happens to the other one. So it's like you can't just shoot the guy because if you shoot the guy, then you're gonna die too. But he like jumps off this building and like I guess just like so he jumps off this building, right? Like when he knows an ambulance is going to be there so that the ambulance saves him, but like while his double is in another apartment. So like the double dies, right? Like that's how he wins the thing. And it's like, no, I just like tie the guy up and like, I don't know, let him starve to death or like, let's figure out something else about this curse before we start jumping off buildings and shit. That's how I felt during that movie too. Or I would have just immediately killed him. I would have been like, what the fuck is that thing? Like if someone that looked exactly like me just like pulled up and like started talking to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. Like I turned into a full on caveman. I turned into like a full on, the Spanish Inquisition would happen. Like the Salem witch trials, I'd be like, no, I'm going to burn you to death. You'd be like, well, if you burn me to death, you're going to die too. And I'm going to be like, okay, well, then I die. Like, what the fuck? No, I'm going to kill you. You fucking creep. I don't know. But that's not how I feel during like all horror movies. A lot of horror movies, most of them, I'd say. I feel like I'm like, what the fuck are you do? Just get out of there. That's why I like a lot of the horror movies where it's like, you know, you can like kind of sympathize with the characters where you're like, oh yeah, no, I'd like stay there too, right? Or it's like they're kind of in like an inescapable problem. Like I kind of like those types of horror movies. I don't like the one where it's just like some demon or some ghost or whatever, and it's like, yeah, just leave. No, just literally walk away. Like, I'm a ghost. I'm the ghost that controls this mountain. I'm the evil, you know, Indian spirit that controls this mountain, and I'm mad at you. And it's like, okay, then I'm leaving the mountain. I don't care that much about the mountain. Or like, there's this other one. There's like this short story about like this thing. It's called Stolen Tongues. It's like this story on Reddit, and I didn't read it. I listened to someone else talk about this story, but this guy, there's like these creatures on this mountain, basically like these skinwalkers or something, that like steal these people's identities. Like that's what they do. They like take their form and they like talk like them and shit like that. And so it's like, but the guy keeps going up to the mountain for some fucking. He's like, I'm going up to the mountain so I can clean it and sell my cabin that I have up there. And it's like, no, dude, just leave the fucking cabin. It's someone else's problem now. Just fucking leave it. And so that's why, you know, that's my blackest trait. I'd say I don't really have any black traits. I'm not, you know, late to shit. I like fried chicken, but so does everyone else. Watermelon is great. Kool-Aid is great. You know, I'm not like a particularly. I just don't have black traits like that. You know, I can't dance. I don't got a beat. You know, I like rap. I really only like Rick Ross. Rick Ross is the only rapper I like. But that is without a doubt my blackest trait, is like the way I watch horror movies and like interact with that shit, and just movies as a whole. Where I'm just like watching the movie, thinking, like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you behaving like that? Like, come on, knock that shit off. That's my blackest trait. My blackest trait is also that I started a podcast. And that's all I've got for the day. Hope you guys have a good week, good year, good life, good semester. Hope summer is fun for you, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday for some current events. All right, peace.